Interesting discussion posed by LFG. 2023 Pac-12 defenses and offensive lines may be trash. I don't know if he's talking about 22 or 23, already looking forward and anticipating there, but the Pac-12 has the best collection of quarterbacks in one conference. It appears. I did a quick rundown of Pac-12 quarterbacks versus the ACC because entering 2022, I don't know where you stood, Matt, but I believed the ACC to have the best collection of quarterbacks in 21. Sam Howell lost, and I'm forgetting who else. Kenny Pickett, of course, lost to the ACC last season. Going into this year, though, I evaluated the ACC to have the best quarterbacks, but once they got out onto the field, Devin Leary didn't have nearly the year that he was supposed to due to injuries. Tyler Van Dyke underperformed in some other places as well, while some guys in the Pac-12 stepped up. So I'm looking at the top tier of Pac-12 quarterbacks, I believe, being the best. You got, I don't know what order you would put these guys in, but you got Caleb Williams, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jaden Delora, Cam Rising, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Tanner McKee in particular, Cam Ward. Maybe the ACC list is a bit deeper, but not as elite when we look at Devin Leary, Tyler Van Dyke, Jordan Travis, Drake May, Riley Leonard, Phil Jurkovec at the time, and this is pre-transfer, but Malik Cunningham, Keaton Slovis, Jeff Sims, Brendan Armstrong, Garrett Schrader is the list of ACC quarterbacks that are good players.
No, I mean, I think beginning the 2022 season, the ACC on paper probably had like the best group of like 7 or 8. And the Pac-12 turned out to have, I think, probably the best 3 or 4: Penix, Nix, DTR, and Caleb Williams. Also Cam Rising. Like that's a really good, top 4, top 5. But on paper, yeah, I mean, Brendan Armstrong at Virginia, like I thought he'd have a big year, but of course that turned into a disaster. So the ACC in this year, in terms of its quarterback quality, on paper it looked great, but on paper did not translate onto the field. But certainly the potential was there for a huge year from ACC quarterbacks. But like going into 2023, like the Pac-12, in terms of like having a top 3 group of quarterbacks with Nix, Penix, and Caleb, that's going to be hard for other conferences to beat for sure in terms of a top 3.
Absolutely. Not that we need to dig any further into the transfer portal, but as I'm just kind of scanning other major developments, of course, Justin Flo moving from Oregon to Arizona as one of the top linebacking, at least one of the potential top linebackers in the country with his great talent, 5-star talent coming out of high school. Another major move in the transfer portal. If you just look at the Pac-12 seedings and look at the matchups and what Vegas has to offer concerning these matchups, I think if you just went chalk on the Pac-12 versus its opponents during the bowl season, it forecasts rather well for the Pac-12 to have a strong bowl season.
It does. And, of course, in the Rose Bowl, with Clark Phillips and Dalton Kincaid not playing against Penn State, that's obviously a concern for the Utes, but you still look at quarterback. Sean Clifford against Cam Rising. I mean, it is hard to bet against Utah when you have that matchup at quarterback. And you also have the realization that Utah was in the Rose Bowl last year and will want to finish the job, will want to win the game. It came so close against Ohio State a year ago. So, yeah, I mean, I think certainly that, while Utah has taken some roster hits in terms of players not playing, that matchup against Penn State is still something that I think Utah fans should feel good about. And so if you do slide Utah to the win column, then, generally what's left on the board for the Pac-12 should be very favorable indeed. With Caleb Williams, assuming Caleb Williams plays and he's even like 90%, if 60%, okay, different discussion. But if he's like 90%, even 86.4%, like anything north of 85, reasonable mobility, reasonable ability to make plays outside the pocket, that to me is really the big key against Tulane, because Miller Moss is not ready to win that game, but Caleb Williams being relatively, capable, functional, mobile, Caleb Williams should be able to fricassee the green wave in the Cotton Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, the landscape's definitely favorable. I mean, and in the Holiday Bowl, we saw North Carolina when it went up against really good teams, North Carolina State, and especially Clemson in the ACC championship game. That 9-1 record got ugly very quickly. North Carolina got exposed badly, not just a little bit. And so with Bo Nix having a month to heal from the injuries that did slow him down a little bit in November, Oregon should be in full position to absolutely torch North Carolina's defense in San Diego. So, yeah, the matchups are definitely lining up. UCLA versus Pitt in the Sun Bowl. And, of course, Keaton Slovis is in the transfer portal. So, Pitt has to scramble at the quarterback spot. So, like, you think that UCLA, like, that is a game that the Bruins should be able to take full control of in El Paso. So, yeah, it's all lining up pretty well for the Pac-12 after a couple of very forgettable bowl seasons in 2020 and 2021.